Hey everybody, this is Dr. Craig with AI, and I'm here with Dr. Stan again, and who introduced to us the idea of Zettelkasten as a strategy to organize writing and produce books at a phenomenal rate. So I've invited Dr. Stan to come back and share with us the process he uses, because it's really proven from the work that you've done, hasn't it, Stan, that you can actually produce a quantity of quality writing in a short period of time by using the system. So over to you.
Well, thank you ever so much. Yeah, this is kind of a combination of slow and fast writing. So, how did this get started? Looking in my future, I see that my career is going to change and really focus on writing and how to become a prolific writer. There's an organization that basically said you can make $50,000 if you have 20 books out there working for you. And I was like, 50,000, that sounds interesting to me. And so how can you become prolific? And I tripped upon a Dr. Nicholas Luhmann, who was a German sociology professor. And in his 35, 40 years, he wrote 50 books and close to 600 journal articles in an academic setting. And I'm like, understanding what gets involved in all that is like, what is he doing? And I want some of it. And so I learned about this method called Zettelkasten, which is nothing more than old school taking notes on a note card and filing them away. But the note cards are kind of unique. Not only do I have my note, but down at the bottom here, I have my bib reference so I can find out what I had, but also there's a number. And this is, you basically start filing these notes together in clumps, on that particular topic. So Nicholas Luhmann, he had 90,000 of these notes, and he was never at a loss of something to write. He just kept adding to his database. So in August of last year, 2023, I started with my Zettelkasten and got some boxes and started taking notes. And in the winter, I sat down with those notes and I basically pulled out a stack and I went for a walk, turned on my audio recorder, and talked about each of the notes. And then I took that audio recording, pushed it into Otter AI transcription program, took that, moved it to ChatGPT, asked it to clean it up, moved it into my writing program. And in the course of 5 days, I wrote 120 pages.
Wow.
And so it was, okay, I think we potentially have something here. So it's not necessarily, the research side is not necessarily fast, but as you are taking these notes, you're constantly thinking about the notes in your box and where they belong. And so I started reading different. So right now I'm currently reading a book, and in this book, I have my note card, which talks about the book, but this also serves as my bookmark. And as I'm going through, I capture the page number and something about that book. When I get done with my set of notes on that book, then I will sit down with my individual note cards and start writing out more detailed notes on different ideas. I may not do all of them, but I may just focus on a stack of notes, and then I will file them away. So those are the bibliography cards. And then there's one more piece. So you have the bibliography cards, you have your actual note cards, and then you have an index. And so your index are those key terms, and then where the zip code is on where you can find them. And so each section, I use the outline of academic disciplines to do the major categories and kind of keep some semblance of order. But then I just start, when I start filing them, I look through my index and like, oh, that belongs over there. Let me go there, find the right place, and I'll put it in there. And it's just, building collection of notes right now. So I probably have maybe getting close to 2,000 notes since last year on different journal articles, different books, and such. So that's kind of the essence of it. But if I may, I'd love to just very briefly walk you through it and show you the different aspects of it.
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share. So the audio file, it's just an audio file. So I use my phone. I use the audio recording on that. And I also use the mobile app for Otter AI. So this is just basically Otter AI. And so I pour this in and it generates a transcript. Now, I've come to realize how I speak and how I write, worlds apart, but it's a great starting point. And at this point, what I do is I export this and I just copy this text. And the next program I go to is ChatGPT. ChatGPT does a wonderful way of just kind of shaping content the way you want it. What I found out is I was repeating the prompt so often that I use a program called Text Expander to do this for me. So I start my prompt. I've created a little shortcut code that allows me, it just asks, please clean up this transcript, fix any errors, convert it to the format for a section in a book, right at the 8th grade reading level. And then I pop in my transcript and run it. And so it will go ahead and make it a little neater, something that, that first draft that I can start working with.
Mm.
From there, I copy out the text. And I use a program called Scrivener. So Scrivener is kind of my writing program. And I will go ahead and paste the text in there, and I will start adding my various citations to it. And basically, I pull out those cards again and just start walking through and go, oh, that's where I talked about that, and that's where I talked about that. And so the fact that I talked about it, then ChatGPT went in it, I have a pretty good sense that it's paraphrased. And, I'm staying away from those actual quotes unless I really intentionally want them in there. But I can add my citations in there. With this, in the notes section, I put that unique number so I can go back into my card stock and find them if I have to add something new. And then also all my citations that they're married up. And my citations, each reference that I add that to Zotero. And so I use Zotero as my citation management tool to make sure I can pull out proper citations. So that, in a nutshell, is what I've been doing. So,
and so that looks like, because you're putting citations in there and you're managing those references, it's because you come from an academic discipline, has that driven the way that the system works for you?
I would say in a large part, yes. Having, kind of pounded into your head, you got to make sure that you cite your work and do that properly. So, I don't ever want to be caught or challenged that I'm taking somebody else's work unfairly. and also the topics that I'm typically writing about. So the book I'm currently working on is on mastery quizzing. And so there's a lot of research around mastery quizzing and what the benefits are and strategies for pulling it off. So I want to make sure that I give credit where credit's due. So
Mm. And for someone who's just not looking at too much of an academic subject, maybe I'm not sure what an example would be, but they may not have as many citations or sources. They may be going a lot deeper in maybe one or two or three people's work. Would they need to use the similar types of software that you're using? Could they just use Microsoft Word, and would it work for them?
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could have done this in Word or Google Docs,
Right.
to craft my what I do. This particular program, Scrivener, is really nice because you can um, you can look at it in a variety of different ways. So I can look at it in terms of a corkboard and move things around from one place to another,
Mm.
or an overall outline. Um, but I can also just grab sections and move it from one place to another, and
Oh,
it'll move
wow.
that whole section. So what I'll do is when I bring that a particular section in from ChatGPT and add my footnotes, I will then normally break it apart into smaller, more bite-sized bits, because when I'm initially putting it together, it may have made sense at the moment to put it in that right place, but later it's like, oh no, I need to move these things around um, to kind of make a better flow of the document. So this allows you to kind of move things around and kind of build a structure. And I can move entire sections up and down, chapters, very easily.
And the numbering system that you have on the top right-hand side of the cards, is that involving the date, or is that some other? Can you talk us through that, how those numbers are made up?
Very good. Let me pull up another document. I'll kind of see if I can make sense of this. Give me half a second. My Zettelkasten and structure. So I created another document to, kind of a table of contents of where things were. So not always did I have all my notes in front of me, and I may be working out of a smaller set. And um, so this is broken into major areas: education, library, and museums. And this is very much in line with the outline for academic disciplines. So social sciences, applied sciences. So if I'm down here, we're looking at business, entrepreneurship, vision statements, human resources, things that they're related to. And so, that just helps me with the numbering. And then from this, organizational behavior, 7101.8, and then the .1 is work-life balance, and I could go to that section, as it's related, and just keep extending the numbering system. But it's the first set of numbers that point me in the right box and right section of the box, and then I have to kind of go, through it a little deeper.
Hmm. So that's the
Um,
Dewey
the,
system?
sorry.
Is that the Dewey system?
No, no, nope. That's the stand system. So I education was where I was starting, and it's like 1,000. That looks good, and subsystems from that. And no, there is. I mean, there's rhyme and reason to me, but that's what's so nice about the system is it's very flexible, that you will have an entirely different system based on your interests and different rabbit trails that you're following and things
Right.
like that. So yeah.
Just thinking of a teacher in a classroom and helping their students to organize their writing and getting ideas and coming up with a system and not losing them, because we can use technology, that's good, but having a physical card is easy to grab and carry with you when you're going to the library or reading or listening or watching and making notes as you go.
I the cards are great because I can throw them on the table, reorganize them, look at them, see where the connections are, and you start finding connections that you may not have initially thought of. You know, when you start looking at cards side by side, it's like, you know, miraculous. But can you imagine a first year college student, or even earlier than that, but we'll say first year college student, they start pursuing this. So for every class they take, they're in the classroom taking notes. They do it on using this system. They're reading their textbooks. They're pulling notes out of this. They have their research. They're pulling notes and they're getting them filed. They have 5 classes, different classes for that term. Then they have another term, so that's another 5 classes, so 10 classes. By the time they get through their undergraduate degree, they have 40 classes, and depending on their discipline, they're interrelated. And now they go to graduate school. And they've already built this library of research that's at their disposal, and they start adding to that and really focusing in on, you know, what their point of study is. So when they finally get to a doctoral program, it's not that they're starting from scratch. They're just adding and really honing in on what they have. I think it's so tremendously powerful. And, you know, very often we get done with a class and we throw it away, and we're going to the next class and we've thrown that away, you know, and then finally oh, I wish I had those notes that I had taken all those years ago. So.
And I like the idea that you're reading and then you're writing and you're making your notes, and you're consuming the information and the knowledge, and it's increasing your own reference system inside your mind, rather than just saving a whole lot of articles to a folder on your computer or taking a picture of something when you haven't really consumed it. You know, there's a difference between just gathering resources, and then there's actually building this context in your mind of how ideas can come together.
Yeah. And, you know, for example, those bibliography cards, you know, reading a book, and it's like, oh, what was in that book? And I pull out the cards and immediately
Right.
I remember what's in the book, you know, and I could quickly reproduce it. Friends of mine asked, it's like, well, why don't you do this digitally? Well, for a digital book, they found out, you know, like Kindle, you read something, but you can't reference it. You can't, it's really hard to say, well, was that in the front of the book or in the middle or in the back? Your mind cannot grasp where it is. A physical book, you can figure out where it is. In the same with these cards, I know what section that's in, and, you know, I can go grab that particular section. But and I use Zotero. I have all kinds of notes in Zotero, but I couldn't tell you what they are. I can probably find things, and I can do a research on a particular topic, but then I have, you know, 100 different references I got to kind of sift through. It's just different. And I'm finding this a very powerful tool.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Stan, thank you very much for your time and sharing the system. I'm sure there'll be people who watch this and get an idea. How many books are you into your goal?
Well, I have 4 that I have written. I'm working on my 5th right now, and I have, well, I'm probably 6, 7, 8, and 9 are in the cards somewhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you ever so much. I really appreciate you giving me the time.